Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good evening to you wherever you may be. This is Comfortably Zoned Radio, and it's time for Dodgers Baseball, a tale of two cities from Brooklyn to Los Angeles. I'm your host, Peter Trunk, and my co-host is Bernie Rose. Before we start the show, we're going to talk tonight, Bernie and I are going to talk tonight about trades throughout the years, both good and bad, that the Dodgers made. Before we get to that, I would like to play a half an inning of a Dodger game from July the 28th, 1957. It's the Dodgers are at Cincinnati. They're playing the Reds at Crosley Field. And I just want to play a half an inning of that, if I may, to start the show off.
Sounds good. I'm here.
Okay.
And the Giants lead 1-0 at the end of 3 innings. Pittsburgh at St. Louis. Vernon Law and Von McDaniel. And the Cardinals lead 1-0 at the end of 3.5 innings. Philadelphia at Chicago. Kurt Simmons and Tom Poholsky. And the Cubs lead 1-0 at the end of 4 innings. In the American League, the Tigers and Yankees. In the 4th inning, the Tigers at bat. Bowling has just hit a home run. So the Tigers lead the Yankees 6-2, and they're still swinging in the 4th. Foytack against Larson. Vern took over in the 3rd inning for the Yankees. Chicago and Baltimore, 3-3 tie at the end of 4 innings. Harshman and Odell. Esposito, Durham, and Triandos have hit home runs. Cleveland and Boston win against Sullivan. It is 3-1 in favor of Cleveland at the end of 3.5 innings. Rocky Colavito has hit his 18th. Ted Williams has hit his 29th. Final score, Kansas City defeated Washington 6-2 in their first game. Alex Kellner beat Chuck Staub. So Chuck Staub now has a record of 4 wins and 14 defeats. Alex Kellner's 4-4, and he hit a home run to boot. All right, to the 4th inning of a 1-1 tie. Dodgers and Redlegs in the only single game in the National League. Duke Snyder the batter, and here's Jerry. Duke flies to left field his first time up, coming on now, leading off in the 4th inning. Snyder hitting .278. Brooks Lawrence into the windup, and down comes the pitch. Changeup is outside high, ball 1 to Duke. The Dodgers 1 run on 2 hits, the Redlegs 1 run on 4 hits, playing in the top of the 4th inning. Lawrence into the windup again, here's the pitch. Outside, ball 2. The Redlegs got their run in the first inning on a double by Temple and a single by Frank Robinson. The Dodger run came on a walk to Campanella, a bunt single by Reese, sacrificed by Padres, and a ground out by Charlie Neal. Here's ball 3 down high to Duke, and it's 3 balls, no strikes. Well, in the 3rd inning, Campanella has the leadoff batter walk, and he scored the run to tie the ball game. And now Snyder out in front on the count, 3-0. The windup and pitch is in for a strike, and it's 3-1. Joined us late, manager Walt Alston and Don Newcomb chasing the ball game in the first inning. Duke takes it inside, ball 4, and Snyder is on with walk number 2 given up by Lawrence. Coming on now, Gil Hodges. Gil got a single his first time up, hit one in the hole between 3rd and short. Gil hitting .309. Lazy afternoon with a fine crowd on hand here at Crosley Field. Lawrence now working with Snyder on first base, nobody out. Checking the pitch. Gil swings and misses, strike 1. Went for the curveball and didn't get it. Top of the 4th in a 1-1 ball game here at Crosley Field. And boy, how close can you get? These teams have played 16 times and they've split them right down the middle. Here's the pitch. Curve is in for a strike 2 on the inside corner. Nothing and 2 on Hodges. Snyder on first. And Brooks Lawrence pitching for the Redlegs. Ed Bailey gives him a sign. Now the stretch and the look. Here's the pitch. Gil swings it at the soft ground ball out toward Temple, and he hooks the ball, and all hands are faced. Temple coming in for the slow grounder. Tried to feed the ball to Roy McMillan, and the ball rolled up his left arm and behind him, and all hands are safe. An error on the second baseman, Johnny Temple. Snyder in at second base, and Hodges on at first. The ball was hit slowly, and it's doubtful Temple fielded the ball cleanly that he could have made the double play. But as it was, he let the ball get away from him, and everybody is safe. Here's Amaros up now, and the infield looks for the bunt. Sandy takes a curveball at the knees for a strike. George Crow playing inside the bag at first base, and Don Holt a step or two down the line at third. Amaros batting, slide to right field his first time up. Strike one count. Here's the pitch. Amaros bunting up the third base line. It's a good bunt, and Holt has to play it down. He can't make a play. Holt decided to let the ball go, saw that it might stay fair, grabbed it, and he was too late. And all hands are safe. And the bases are loaded for the Dodgers. Amaros rolled a bunt right along the chalk line up the third base line. Don Holt came in, had decided apparently to let the ball go, but it did not go foul. And then Holt changed his mind, grabbed the ball while it was still fair, and then had no play. Amaros on with a base hit, a bunt single. At third base is Snyder. At second base, Hodges. The batter, Carl Furillo. Carl bounced into double play his first time up. So the Dodgers now have something going here in the fourth inning. Bases loaded and nobody out. Ball game tied at 1-1. A walk, an error by Temple, and a bunt single by Amaros. Hit number 3 for the Dodgers, and 2 of them have been bunts, the other by Pee Wee Reese. Lawrence now into the windup, and here's his pitch. Carl swings on a curve, strike one. Campanella on deck, and Reese down in the hole. Score tied 1-1, top of the fourth inning. Activity now in the Red Lake bullpen. Big Tom Acker starts to throw. Here's the pitch. Carl swings a high fly ball to deep right center field. Going for it is Bell, and he can't get it. It's in there for a home run for Furillo with the bases full. Carl Furillo hitting one at the deepest part of the ballpark here to get it out. 390 feet over the screen wire in front of the right center field bleachers. And for Furillo, an 8 bases loaded home run of his career, and his 9th of the year. And the Dodgers lead now 5-1. And for the grand...
I thought our fans would like that. I hope they enjoyed it. With Carl Furillo hitting a grand slam home run.
Yep.
Okay, now, for the rest of the show. We're going to talk about Dodger trades. I have 4 trades. I have 4 favorite trades that the Brooklyn club made when they were in the throes of the dappiness days. Of course, they didn't make too many good trades, if they made any at all. And
right.
They were laughed at, and they weren't drawing anybody. And then in the late 30s, 1938, 39, after Larry McPhail came in as GM, he did a whole lot of stuff. He refurbished Ebbets Field. He added seats in the outfield. He made their ballpark a little bit bigger in terms of seating. He televised games. He put in warning tracks. He put in padded walls. The Dodgers brought about batting helmets. A little bit later on, numbers. They were the first team to have numbers on their uniform the front of their uniform jersey. They were the first team to have their own statistician. And, of course, they were the first team with the first black ball player in Jackie Robinson. But he also, Lee McPhail, he also did a bunch of things that were very instrumental, I think, in the Dodgers' turnaround from laughable to contenders every single year, all the way up until, well, arguing the fact could be up to today. I mean, if, there are some fans out there that cut the Dodgers off after the 1957 season and they say that they're no longer the Dodgers. And there are other fans who say, no. They're still the Dodgers. They just moved to Los Angeles. But you could say that 1938, 39, or 40, the Dodgers made a U-turn, and they came out of the joke into the serious business of being contenders every single year. When the Dodgers got Leo DeRocher from the Cardinals in 1937, that was the beginning. And then when McPhail got here, he made DeRocher the manager, and in June, in 1940, June the 12th to be exact, he sent nobody Ernie Coy, nobody Carl Doyle, nobody Sam Nahum, nobody Bert Haas, and $125,000 to the St. Louis Cardinals for Hall of Famer Joe Medwick and right-handed pitcher Kurt Davis, who was very successful for the Dodgers. And then in November the 11th, 1940, he sent a bunch of no-names, Vito Tamulus, Bill Couch, Mickey Livingston, and $100,000 to Philadelphia to get Kirby Higbee. Kirby Higbee becoming a stalwart on the Dodger staff, right-handed pitcher. And then on May 6th, 1941, he sent Johnny Hudson and Charlie Gilbert and $65,000 to the Cubs for Hall of Famer Billy Herman. And finally, on December the 12th, 1941, he sent Pete Cascaret, Luke Hamlin, Wasdale, Babe Phelps to Pittsburgh for Hall of Famer Archie Vaughan. So the Dodgers, pretty quickly made the transformation from a laughingstock to a pennant contender. Every year pennant contender. And it happened when McPhail came from Cincinnati and took over the reins of the Brooklyn franchise. Did many, many things. Not just those trades.
Did I see something about Pee Wee being acquired from somebody?
Yes, in 1939.
Right.
The Dodgers got him from the Louisville Colonels. In fact, there were some rumors that the Dodgers bought the entire team. They bought the franchise of the Louisville Colonels because they couldn't get Pee Wee Reese any other way. They bought the whole franchise to get him. Yeah. So they really did turn it. Like when you're a fan, like you and I are, all these years, and you're always rooting for your team to do something. Come on, you got to do something. The Hot Stove League, you're looking for trades, you're looking for acquisitions to help your club and stuff. And then when the Yankees do it or the Giants do it or somebody else does it, you throw your hands in the air and go, oh, man, they're getting everybody. We're getting nobody. Well, back in the late 30s and early 40s, the Dodgers got them all. The Dodgers got all the good ball players and plus their own ball players, but they made some really, really wonderful trades. And it shows to this day, like they're contenders all the time. It's out of the ordinary when the Dodgers don't contend. When the Dodgers are way down in the second division and 20 games out or whatever, it's like an anomaly. It doesn't make sense.
True.
The Dodgers are always there. I know you have a whole thing that you want to talk about. I'm going to keep quiet now. And Bernie Rose, my buddy, is going to tell us about some other trades that the Dodgers made throughout the years.
Well, I'm going to try to stay on your theme for a second. They got Sal Magley from the Giants in '56. And it was really funny because the thing that I was reading was like, he was a Dodger killer, and they said it'd sort of be tantamount to getting Juan Marichal, even though Sal Magley didn't hit anybody over the head with a baseball bat,
Which
beat
the
the Dodgers
did, by the way.
23 times.
Yeah, you know the Dodgers did get Juan Marichal.
What's that?
The Dodgers did, in fact, get
that's
Juan
right,
Marichal.
They did. Right,
of course, he was past his prime, but nonetheless, they got him. And Magley actually didn't come from the Giants. He came from the Cleveland Indians. The Dodgers,
that's true. That is
the
true.
The Dodgers played an exhibition game in Jersey City against the Cleveland Indians. And Magley pitched a few innings of that game. And the Dodger players went back and told Walter Alston, this guy still has it. He can get anybody out. He still has it. So word filtered up to the front office, and Buzzy Bavasi made the deal with Cleveland to get Magley. And, of course, we know what happened. He won 13 games and pitched a no-hitter.
That's right. They paid $10K to get him from the Indians.
Yep.
He went 13-5 with a .297, pitched a no-hitter, and finished second in the Cy Young to Don Newcomb.
That's amazing.
And even though they lost the World Series, he was 1-1 in the World Series, and the game he lost was the perfect game.
Yes, he only gave up 2 runs and 5 hits. It's the complete game. One of those hits was a home run by Mantle.
That was interesting. Yeah, and they did get Juan Marichal. I hated that,
So did I.
But, yeah, unbelievable. And the funny thing is, it's a lot easier to find the bad stuff than the good stuff. Not necessarily, but it just seems to be out there. I didn't have a whole lot of time to get into free agency a whole lot. But, I mean, the one thing I remember is, before the new owners and now and the radio deal and the TV deal, rather, that gave them all this money and why they spend so much now. It's debatable whether they want to keep on spending that much. But back in the day, I guess they didn't always want to spend that much, especially when, different corporate, ownership came in after O'Malley's were gone and all that stuff. But, I always wanted them to get I wanted them to get Reggie Jackson. But no, the Yankees got him, and that certainly cost them. There was always some big names that I wanted to get, and then it seemed like for years they got burned when they did start handing out money. Mm-hmm. And need I say Dave Goltz or Jason Schmidt, just to name a couple.
Oh, boy.
But maybe we can get more into that in a little bit. There's so much to talk about, and there's so many. I found things that were unbelievable, really, that I couldn't even really remember, like Frank Robinson being on the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And they traded Robinson.
Rocky Colavito.
Yeah, right. Can you imagine that? Yeah, I don't even remember it now. But you're right. They traded Frank Robinson and Bill Singer for Andy Messersmith and Ken McMullen. Oh. Now, Messersmith had a good career for them. Well, 3 years for them before he became the first free agent.
Yeah.
But Frank wasn't done, and Bill Singer wasn't done. Matter of fact, the very next year for the Angels, Frank Robinson he only hit .261, but he had 29 doubles, 30 home runs, and 97 RBIs.
Wow. And
Bill Singer won 20 games, had a .322 earned run average, but he threw 315 innings and 19 complete games.
Wow.
You don't hear that anymore.
No, you don't.
Well, they probably still had a 4-man rotation, but that used to be the norm.
True.
And you never hear stuff like that. So that kind of really shocked me. And a couple of things, when the Dodgers let Wetland go and they let John Franco go, and then they didn't have a closer for years, that, was some of the people that they traded Tim Belcher and John Wetland for Eric Davis and Kip Gross. I mean, and Belcher, he had a nice little career.
Yeah.
And he pitched well for the Dodgers. I mean, he was a rookie. He didn't win Rookie of the Year, but he won 2 games in the NLCS, beating the Mets in 1988. And he started 2 games in the World Series. Started Game 1, which we know, and we'll get into the Kirk Gibson trade. We know how that game ended. And he did win Game 4. So that's the last time the Dodgers won the World Series. So Tim Belcher was a good get. But,
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, and he had a nice little career. But again, they traded him then. And anyway, I think I got maybe my dates mixed up there, but nonetheless, here's some of the good things. And Kevin Brown. Talk about Kevin Brown, another free agent that I wanted him to get back when the Marlins got him.
Yeah.
By the time the Dodgers got him, he was really older. And the funny thing about Kevin Brown is you think, or you may think, that it was not a good time with the Dodgers and that it wasn't a good deal. Because in the end they traded him and they let him go, and he had a couple of years where injuries kept him from pitching. However, and you know what? He was the first $100 million man, 7 years, $105 million. Do you remember that?
Wow. Yeah, now I do. Now that you mention it.
Exactly. That's exactly how I felt. And I was wondering, I was happy to get him, but I had wanted to get him earlier, when he won a World Series with the Marlins.
Sure.
In 5 years, his ERA was never over 3. He led the NL in ERA and WHIP in 2000. And, he did have a good career with the Dodgers. It's just that it didn't bring a World Series, as we know.
No.
And he was a little older, got hurt, didn't really pitch for a couple of years and was gone. But let's go to some good things. I don't want to. There's a lot more bad things that I
know, and I'm very happy. By the way, before we go on to the good things, I'm very happy you didn't bring up the Lino de Shields and Pedro Martinez. Those deals. I'm glad you didn't. Let's let that lie in the weeds for another 20 years or so. I don't want to talk.
We've actually talked about that in the past, but
oh man,
I know
blood
that's
pressure
horrible.
Was horrible.
Reggie Smith. They got rid of Tisdale, Detheridge, and Ferguson. Although I like Joe Ferguson,
I like
for
Joe.
Reggie Smith. And that was Joe he was there for some of those playoffs in the 70s, and I guess he was not there when they won in 81, but because Reggie Smith was, and he was a good get. And let's go back to Tim Belcher, forgetting about that they ended up trading him later for Eric Davis, but here's a name that's going to sound familiar, Rick Honeycutt.
Oh, yeah. The present-day Dodger pitching coach.
For years and years and years. He's been with the Dodgers for forever. But he was traded to the A's by the Dodgers for Tim Belcher. And Tim Belcher actually came in as the player to be named later.
Wow.
Can you believe that? And then had a nice season. Finished third, I think, in the Rookie of the Year, and I already mentioned what he did in that World Series. So Reggie Smith and Tim Belcher were 2 good gets. Bill Madlock, who, I don't think he's with the Dodgers all that long, and they did give up Sid Bream, who had a nice career, and R.J. Reynolds and SP, but he hit 360 that year for the Dodgers, and no one had done that, like since Tommy Davis, who we'll get into also. Right. And they made the playoffs that year, and it was not Bill Madlock.
The thing that soured me on Madlock was well, I think while he was still a Chicago Cub, didn't he smack an umpire in the face with his glove?
You know, that does ring a bell.
Yeah, he did. He like jabbed the umpire in the face with his gloved hand.
I think I remember
That really was a turnoff for me. Like, it was the same thing for me personally as when Robbie Alomar spit on the umpire.
Right. Yeah.
You know, that just turned me off. I mean, you can yell all you want, but you start getting physical like that with an umpire, that's not a good thing at all. Not even.
I agree.
Not even close.
I agree.
No.
But he did have that nice year for the Dodgers, and they did make the playoffs.
He did. Yeah, well, he was a good hitter. Let's face it.
He was a great hitter.
Yep.
How many batting titles did he win? And also, it couldn't be helped that Jack Clark ended up hitting that home run to take them out of those playoffs, and that really Tom Niedenfuhr was the real GOAT in that series. He gave up the home run to Ozzie Smith, and then he gave up the whole clinching home run to Jack Clark. But that's another story. And Ramirez, when they got him from the Red Sox for Andy LaRoche and Jason Bay, and it's too bad that St. Louis hit him in the ribs, definitely on purpose, or I think they may have won that series because Ramirez had a tremendous
year. I remember that. He couldn't swing after that. Right. They broke his rib.
No. Yeah, they did. And he, if he wasn't injured for part of that year, he could have very easily won the MVP that year.
Oh,
he had
was
a tremendous season.
They couldn't get him out.
No.
Couldn't get him out.
No,
whenever they needed a home run, he hit a home run.
Oh, yeah.
He even pinch hit some home runs.
What's that now?
He even pinch hit a few home runs.
Oh, yeah. He did. He absolutely did. He had a tremendous season.
Incredible year.
Gary Sheffield. 4 years with the Dodgers. Right. Over 300 every year. On-base percentage over 400 every year.
Wow.
Slugging percentage over 520 every year.
Amazing.
He hit 34 home runs and over 100 RBIs in 3 of the 4 years.
Holy cow.
He had a tremendous short time with the Dodgers, but that's one of the best deals they've made, even though, and you don't really want to bring it up, but it was part of the Piazza deal.
Yeah, I remember that.
And
I remember.
No one saw Piazza. No one saw that coming.
No.
But they did get
don't understand that trade. You know, I've read many stories about that trade, and I still can't figure it out because each writer puts his own little spin on it, and it doesn't make sense to me no matter what angle they come at. Piazza was a Hall of Famer. He was a Hall of Fame ball player, and I don't care who he had words with or who he, had got in a shouting match with or something. You don't trade a guy who can hit 35 home runs, drive in 100 runs, and hit 300, and be your catcher, and handle the pitchers and stuff. I never could figure that trade out. Never.
No.
But liking the Mets like I did, I really appreciated Mike Piazza as a New York Met. I thought he was sensational.
Sure you did.
He was sensational.
Oh, yeah, and I don't even know if he was as good with them as he was with the Dodgers, and that's how good he was.
That's how good he was.
Yeah, there's no question about it. Here's some interesting, there's some names like when you mentioned DeShields. What about Juan Samuel?
Yeah.
He was so terrible.
Didn't they play him in center field even? Did he play center field for them?
Yeah, but he was supposed to be a second baseman, but
Yes.
He did play some center field, absolutely. And you know, the Mets unloaded him on the Dodgers. And you know the Mets, I mean, Mike Marshall and Alejandro Pena.
Wow.
And we ended
Mike
up
Marshall,
with
the first baseman.
Yes. Not
Mike Marshall, the relief pitcher. Right, exactly.
No, that's correct. Two Mike Marshalls there. And I mean, I'm getting all over the place here. Tim Leary was a good get, and they won the 1988 World Series with him. They gave up Greg Brock and Tim Cruz. He went 17-11 with a 291. He won a Silver Slugger for a pitcher, and they won the World Series. And he pitched. That was really nice. And here's another thing. You're going to love this, being up in New York and having an affinity for the Mets. Sid Fernandez.
The Flying
became
Hawaiian.
a Met from courtesy. You know, you don't remember these things.
I know.
The way I was remembering it, I just thought he was a Met. The Dodgers sent Fernandez to the Mets for. Well, I lost my page. Hold on a second. I've got stuff all over the place. For Carlos Diaz and Bob Baylor.
Oh, God.
And you're going to love this one. Can you believe? Now, this is secondary to the Mets. But in 1966, the Dodgers traded Tommy Davis and Darrell Griffith to the Cubs. I hated to see Tommy Davis go, and he ended up, I know that ankle injury and everything, but he played for a long, long time. And he was one of my favorite Dodgers ever. And you know who they got for those guys?
No.
Jim Hickman and Ron Hunt.
Oh, Jesus.
But that's from the Cubs.
Mets. 2X
Exactly.
Mets. Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, Tommy Davis went on to play for the Baltimore Orioles and other teams, but he was the main stick in the middle of the Oriole lineup as a DH back in the day.
Yeah.
Drove in a lot of runs, boy. Drove in a lot of runs.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I got off some of the good to the bad again, but just let me throw out some names real fast on trades or that were good. They got Sean Green for Mondesi.
Oh yeah.
And somebody else, and I already mentioned Kevin Brown. They got Ethier. He goes way up there. You don't think about it. And from what I was reading here, that's saying he was down on the depth charts as a minor leaguer for Oakland, but I don't recall that. I recall him being highly regarded.
Really?
And that the Dodgers were after him for quite some time. And they gave up Milton Bradley and Antonio Perez for Andre Ethier, who now, when you see how long he's been with the Dodgers and everything that he's done, he's going to he looms large with the Dodgers. Yeah, and I'm just throwing out some names. Brett Butler, Hideo Nomo.
Oh, I liked him. Yeah, he played for the Mets too. He was a good hitter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They got him twice. Some good deals.
Yeah. Right. Sean Green. Did Sean Green hit 50-something home runs one year?
49.
49. 49 home runs.
42. Back to back, he hit 49 and 42. I don't think any other Dodger ever did.
Do you remember what years that was?
I think it was 2000.
Okay.
Let's see.
He was the Dodger. Now, if Linda Wilson was here, she could back me up on this. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Sean Green was the Dodger that wore number 31 after Piazza left.
Wow. You know what? I couldn't tell you. But
the reason I say that is because I have a Sean Green jersey, Dodger jersey, and it's number 31.
Oh, well then, it sounds.
Oh no, wait a minute. No, I could be way off base. He might have been number 15, and he wore that after Lopes. I'm getting all discombobulated now. I'm making a fool of myself.
Yeah. I don't know.
He either wore number 31 or he wore number 15. It was 15, then it was Lopes. I had the story ass backwards. I apologize to you. I apologize to our listening audience. You know what? I should follow my man Bob Dylan in that he said, know your song well before you start singing.
There you go.
And I just didn't do that the last minute and a half. I'm sorry. What else you got for me?
Well, yeah, that was before 2000. They traded Mondesi and Bourbon for Green and Jorge Nunez, and they gave him a multi-year deal. And he hit 49 home runs in 2001, and he hit 42 home runs in 2002. Derek Lowe, who I remember being horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Think about this now. Yet he goes down on this list that I'm looking at of 10 of the, I'm looking at a list for over a 25-year period of the best and the worst. And Derek Lowe came in 7th on the best. And I remember him getting bombed and shellacked. But as it ends up being, they gave him a 4-year, $36 million deal. This is a free agent signing, mind you. He started 32 games or more in those 4 seasons. He never had an ERA over 3.88. I'm probably remembering the year when it was up near that, but
yeah.
He had double-digit wins in each year. He was the opening day starter 3 straight seasons, and he did win a postseason game over the Cubs.
You know, as I remember him, Bernie, I remember him. If I could make an analogy, he was sort of like a poor man's John Lackey back in the day. He was unsung, tough as nails. You couldn't get him out of the game. You know, he'd give up 4 runs in the first inning, but then he'd be there in the 8th inning, giving up no more runs. It would be 4-4, you know. And he would tough it out.
What I do remember, there's a lot of that, and I do remember him pitching well, and then me being surprised, and then not surprised because he would keep on doing it. But he did this after having some horrible starts and some horrible games, and I wasn't giving him a credit. And this reminded me, you know, of what he did do. And what it says here is he was one of the most solid free agent pitchers in that of any team for a 10-year period.
Wow! So
he had a solid couple of seasons there with the Dodgers, and so we threw out a whole bunch of names there. But Kirk Gibson is number 1 on the list, even though it was short-lived, if you will.
Yeah, it was.
But
he didn't last too long, but he got us over the hump.
And it was voted the greatest moment in L.A. sports history.
Really?
So
L.A. sports history? Holy cow.
And not just baseball.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. L.A. sports.
Yeah.
I mean, the Kings won the Stanley Cup. The Lakers won the NBA championship. The Rams won I don't know if they were in L.A. when they won the championship. They might have been in Cleveland, but the Rams won a championship. You know, that's pretty heady stuff.
Yeah, the Rams won when they were in St. Louis.
Moment?
Right,
Holy
but
cow.
Still, it's huge. It was a huge moment. And I guess it was so unexpected because he could hardly walk.
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to go real quickly on some disappointing names. I already mentioned Jason Schmidt, Andrew Jones. How much money did they waste on him?
Oh, he was horrible. He was horrible.
Yes. Carlos Perez, Juan Pierre, who was a good player, but a disappointment in L.A., really.
Yeah. He got his hits, though. But he wasn't the Juan Pierre he was in other places, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And Eric Davis and Darryl Strawberry.
Yeah, forget them.
Just
for a bust.
Just terrible, terrible stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to run something by you also, talking about the Sal Magley thing.
Yeah.
Candy Maldonado, the Dodgers sent to the Giants for Alex Trevino. You remember that?
Yeah, I do. Alex Trevino also played for the Mets.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Maldonado had a really nice 15-year career.
Sure did.
And I want to just throw out there, I mean, there's just some names, there's just some guys that I just can never believe they traded. And Paul Konerko.
Wow, yeah.
I mean,
unbelievable. That guy had a great career.
A tremendous career. I know they had Karros, but Karros was a good player.
Sure he was.
But Konerko was the kid coming up, and they made the wrong decision, obviously. And for 15 years, we were reminded about that.
Yeah, it was eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and they picked the wrong one. Just like they picked Pedro's brother. Instead of Pedro Martinez, they took Ramon Martinez. They said Pedro's too small. He'd never be able to pitch. And he went on to a Hall of Fame career.
They made the wrong decision. Absolutely.
Yeah, they did. See, and a team like the Yankees made the correct pick when they had the two Williamses in center field. They had a very, very, very young Bernie Williams.
Right.
And they had also, at the same time in spring training, they had, what was his name, Gerald Williams or something? And they couldn't pick which one they wanted. And they finally sent Gerald Williams to the Atlanta Braves or something, and no one ever heard of him again. And Bernie Williams became a fine, fine ball player for many years. So some teams, when they have to pick between two guys, make the right decision. I guess it's a bunch of luck, though. You know, like I said before, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, you don't really know. You can't see what's in the crystal ball, you know. But you're right. The Dodgers blew it with Konerko, and they blew it with Pedro Martinez.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
And, the Dave Goltz thing, I know there was a free agent signing, one of the worst ever.
Oh, boy.
And then
he came from he pitched for Minnesota before that, right?
Correct. And he was good for Minnesota.
Yeah, he was.
Absolutely.
But he was one of those guys. If I remember Goltz's one loss. Now, I know you can't judge a pitcher by just his one loss. But that being said, Goltz was never like a 21-5 guy. He was always like a 16-13, 17-14, 17-15 guy. You know, even when he was doing well with Minnesota, and then the Dodgers.
But he won 20. He won 20 in 77.
All right.
And then in 78, he was 15-10 with a 2.49, and I think that's why they said
good.
They're going after him.
Yep.
But he never had a better K rate than 5.5.
Mm-hmm.
But he did throw innings. He had a lot of 300 inning seasons.
Oh yeah.
And they did, through no help, no fault of his, they won the World Series in '81, and he got a ring. But he was 2-7 that year,
right.
And he didn't pitch well. And as a matter of fact, the year before, when I was sure they were going to win the World Series, when they swept Houston the last 3 games of the year, when they were 3 games out.
I remember that.
Swept them to tie them, and then the playoff game was a 1-game playoff, still in L.A. And what did Lasorda do? He started Dave Goltz instead of Fernando Valenzuela.
Unbelievable.
And they lost 7-1.
Unbelievable. Mm-hmm. And
now,
that wasn't even
I don't know if Fernando would have been on short rest. I really don't remember. But
right. I'm sure he would have been on short rest. But the thing is, the Dodgers were never in that game. It was like 5-0 immediately.
Yes.
It was like immediately 6-1 or something like that, you know. And
yes, and that was Dave Gold.
They were totally out of it.
But they did win the next year, but he really had nothing to do with that. And the worst trade of all time, and the worst trade certainly that Fred Clare ever made, was the Pedro Martinez deal.
Oh boy!
But you know, that's just to name a few. There's a whole lot of stuff. Letting John Franco go, who ended up with Cincinnati and then with the Mets and set the record at the time. You know, they also let a 25-year-old Larry Heisel go for Milliken and Rudy Arroyo, two names that go down in history. They let Stan Javier go, who had a nice little career for Peguero and Searcy. They even traded Pedro Guerrero for John Tudor, who, you know, Tudor was a decent pitcher, but he didn't have, you know, he got hurt, and he never really amounted to much with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And they traded Sweet Lou Johnson for Popovich, which, you know, I mean, it's not a big thing, and later on it did lead through that deal for them to get Manny Mota and Maury Wills back. So, you know, I'm just throwing some stuff out there.
Yeah, well, how about this winter? How about in the last few weeks? Did you like the signing of Chris Sale for the Red Sox? And didn't you think the Dodgers were going to get him? I thought for sure Dodgers were going to get Chris Sale. I was shocked when the Red Sox got him.
Me too. I mean, they're going to have one hell of a staff.
They are.
I thought that they just kept saying that the Dodgers were in on Sale, but yeah, that surprised me. And there's a lot of stuff they kept rumoring, and they were rumored to be out there with Maldonado and Ryan Braun trade. And I thought Milwaukee wanted Puig. I would trade Puig right now to get Braun in the outfield.
They've been talking about that since last July.
Exactly. Yeah. But I guess it's never going to happen.
It's not.
I guess they're going to give Puig another shot. You know, I mean, it's only December, but I don't know what they're going to do. You're going to alternate Puig and Ethier out there, and hope that Peterson continues to improve. You know, he did improve late in the season.
Yeah, he did.
His on-base percentage picked up, and he got some hits in the playoffs. So
yeah, he did.
You know, he wasn't striking out quite as much. And you forget about, you know, Klay Thompson's brother. He got hurt.
Oh, God.
and he missed like the whole rest of the season. He looked like he was going to be a good little player.
Yeah, he did. He started hitting home runs and everything, and yeah. Then the next guy to improve drastically for a while was that little guy Tole, Tole.
Well, yeah, I'm liking him a lot.
He started hitting very well. He started hitting extra base hits all over the place. I don't know what to think of him. I don't know where to put him on the depth chart, you know?
Well, you know, without any of the deals that I'm seeing, they have to be thinking of starting him and leading him off.
Well,
because they don't have a leadoff hitter.
No, they don't. Not a
I really
one,
thought, no. I wanted to get, who's the kid that St. Louis just signed from the Cubs? There was rumors that the Dodgers were in on him. I wanted that kid.
Oh, Fowler?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was surprised that the Cardinals got him. I was surprised that the Cardinals got him, too.
That's going to help them.
Yes, it is. Now, do you think the Dodgers, they have to add another right-handed bat this winter?
Absolutely.
They have to. So, do you think it's going to be Dozier, second baseman from Minnesota?
Well, we keep hearing that. So, I don't know what the holdup is. I'd hate to see them send the young pitcher, but
De Leon,
yeah. Because he looked good, too, in September.
Yes, he did. I hope they don't send that first baseman. the young kid down in the minors, ready to take over. What was it, Bellinger?
Yeah, they got to hold on.
I hope they don't send Bellinger. You got to hold on to him. He looks like a keeper.
He has to be, because this is probably Gonzo's last year, and then they got to bring him up.
Right.
You might even have to bring him up now, but
you might have to bring him up in this year. Yeah, play him. Get his feet wet a little bit. Get his feet wet. Yeah.
Because you're right.
How about the pitching staff? What do you think about the pitching staff?
Well, they need to tidy up the bullpen, no doubt. I'm glad they signed our guy. You know, Jansen and Turner were a must, because there was nothing else they could do. And but they need a setup man. I'm not sure who they're going to do as a setup man, and they need some help there. The starters, when they re-sign Hill, I liked what I saw. What about you?
I liked it too. I liked it very much. I just thought they were going to get Sale.
Yeah, well.
I really did. I thought it was in the bag.
I was hoping.
There have been rumors about that for months and months and months.
Sure.
But they definitely need another right-handed bat, and it'll probably either be Ryan Braun or maybe McCutcheon from Pittsburgh, or Dozier.
That would be fine. Yeah.
Got to be somebody. They got to get somebody.
Well, I'd rather it be Dozier right now, because they need the second
I
baseman.
think you're right.
And Tolles, I liked what I saw. The kid hit.
Yeah, he did. He wasn't afraid. He played like he's been there before, even though he was not there before. He played like he was calm, cool, collected. He wasn't showboating or anything. He went out there and he just did his thing. He hit some home runs, and I liked his attitude too, because he knows he's not a home run hitter, so he didn't fall in love with the home run, because he ran into 2 or 3, and then all of a sudden he's going to start swinging from the heels. He didn't do that. He just kept on hitting line drives and stuff, which I thought was very good for a young player like that. He kept his head. He kept his head, and he just stung the ball. That's good to see. I don't know.
But they need a leadoff hitter.
They need a leadoff hitter. Dozier's not the answer for leadoff.
No.
Tolles would be the closest thing, but they need right-handed bats.
Right.
Because they cannot go through another summer. They cannot go through another summer being totally stymied by every left-hander there is in the whole league. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Average left-handers were getting them out.
Absolutely.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It became ridiculous,
No question about it. So they have to do something about that. Well, and you got to figure they're not done.
Yeah, you got to figure they're not done. But you know what? I heard something from Peter Gammons. I think it was Peter Gammons, and he said, ball players and teams, they like to celebrate Christmas with the team they're going to go to spring training with and opening day with. So if a guy hasn't been traded by Christmas Day, he probably won't be traded. And that's, I thought about that for a while. It makes it makes a lot of sense, That's not to say, now I know you could Google this after we hang up, and you could find a million phenomenal big trades that happened after Christmas. But it does make some sense that a guy would like to be settled before Christmas Day so he could celebrate with his wife and family and not worry about where little Junior is going to go to school and where they have to relocate and buy a house and this and that. So, I don't know, man. Today's the 20th already. You got like 4 more days. Maybe they will do something in the next 4 days. Who knows?
Right.
I don't know. I don't have a pipeline into the front office. I know you don't either, so we're just going to have to wait and see.
Before we go, I just want to say one thing about some of the things that I was looking over, And
Sure.
and I got a thing when they were listing the salaries of these players next to them, and this was in the 80s still, or early 80s, or maybe it was the late 70s. I don't know. But at one time when Garvey was making $300,000, he was the highest paid player on the Dodgers. But guys were still making like $19,000. I mean, the lowest guys on the team, I guess the minimum at that time was $19,000. Now it's what, $500,000? But and that's the minimum now. That's how the game
535, something's 545.
Yeah. That's the money.
Talking about guys, that's good you brought that up. It's good you brought that up. I was reading a thing today about Jackie Robinson. He won the Most Valuable Player Award in 1949. He had a tremendous season in 1949, and he won the Most Valuable Player Award. And he signed his contract after he won the award. He signed the contract with Buzzy Bavasi for $35,000. And the day before, Ted Williams had signed for $100,000.
Oh, really?
Now I know that there were no such thing back in those days as an agent. I know that.
No, of course
but
not.
Couldn't someone have gotten on the phone with Jackie Robinson and said, "Hold it, you're the most valuable player in the league. You just hit something and did scored all these runs and stole all those bases. You're going to sign a contract for $35,000 when Ted Williams is getting $100,000? Don't you think you're worth $45,000 or $55,000 or $65,000? Don't you think Don't you think you put people's butts in the seats, not only at home but on the road for the Dodgers?
They had no.
You signed for $35,000.
Yeah, that is amazing.
Crazy. That is crazy.
Guys didn't really hold out much, when Sandy and Drysdale held out.
I know they
together.
tried it. They tried their best.
That was big news, and all they got was an extra $25,000 each because they were still only wanting to pay $100,000. Nobody, they didn't want to pay anybody more than because the players. This is before free agency, and they had no options at all. And although 35, Babe Ruth made 80, and that goes way back. And so then and if Ted Williams was making 100 in 49, Mantle and Mays and those guys in the 60s, and Sandy and Drysdale, they were still only making 100. And those guys held out, and all they got was $25,000 each. Yeah, extra.
And Musial was making 100 also. Yeah, it's crazy.
They were guys, but that shows you how everything changed after that. But that's why he got stuck with what's that?
The discrepancy between Jackie Robinson making $35,000,
that's crazy.
Ted Williams making $100,000 is nuts, because there is no way in the world the Dodgers would have drawn that many people without Jackie, both at home and on the road. They outdrew everyone back then because of Jackie. And he signed a contract for $35,000? That's hard to believe. I know Branch.
A lot of money back then, but still, it's not 100.
But wait a minute. Yes, it was a lot of money back then, because regular guys were making $3,000 a year, working in a factory and stuff. But what I'm saying to you is this: when you have something to go against, like Williams, and I'm not trying to say that Ted Williams wasn't one of the greatest ball players ever, but he's making $100,000, Ted Williams, and you're going to sign for $35,000. You just won the Most Valuable Player Award, and your team broke the attendance record, both in 47, 48, and 49, both at home and on the road. This is before Boston moved to Milwaukee. The Dodgers were drawing more people than anybody. And Robinson signs for $35,000? Come on.
Yeah,
doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Oh, it'd be nice if we were able to talk to him, see what was going through his mind.
Would have been real nice. Would have been very nice.
Sure.
Well, on that note, we'll call it a night. We had a good show. It was a little over an hour long, and we talked about the Dodgers, and it was time for Dodgers baseball, so we talked about it. And I'm not going to speak with you at least face to face or on the phone like this until after the New Year. So I wish you and yours a happy holiday, a very, very safe and happy holiday, and a happy New Year. And to enjoy yourself and be safe. You know what I mean?
Okay. And to you, keep me in the loop, and we'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Whenever you have an idea, just message me, and we'll get together on it and do it. Okay?
Sounds good. All righty.
Very good. All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.